Okay, Lamp Waters asked, did either of you wear kilts growing up? Do your parents wear kilts? What made you love it so much that you opened your own shop?
So
I didn't open the shop. You opened the shop.
that's true.
I just work here.
Yes. So how did we come to it? I came to wearing the kilt as an extension kind of individuality and just a love of the culture. So through listening to music that inspired me, whether it's Irish music, Scottish music, that kind of stuff, or oi music or punk music for other British influence styles there. So all of that, kind of was ingrained in me because that was kind of my musical tastes way back when, high school, middle school kind of thing. And really wanting to do something that is unconventional. So it's the punk rock kind of attitude of, I'm going to buck the norms. I'm not going to do the thing that everyone wants me to do. I'm going to do what I want. And the kilt kind of embodies that in a single garment. So that's kind of how I came to it, and just kind of like that thing is like, it's so punk rock, but it's not punk rock, but it's punk as F. I'll censor myself there.
Yep.
So that was kind of the spark that led me to it. That said, like, yeah, that's something I need to try out. That's something I need to do. And then once I got a kilt, once I started wearing a kilt, I was just like, oh, this really is unconventional. Oh, people really are looking at me. And then, wow, people are actually talking to me now. It's not like the thing where people look at you doing something different and they shy away from you because you look weird and different. It's, you look weird and different, but I want to talk to you, which is, it's a very different experience. So it was just fun. And then from that, getting into, again, the music, and then getting into researching the culture and diving in with both feet. I came at it from a very unconventional angle, but that's kind of how I came to it. So, Erik, how did you come to it?
It's weird because we have kind of a parallelism there, but not quite the same. I'm a broken record with this, but essentially, I do have Scottish ancestry, but I was never interested in the heritage, that side of my heritage, to be honest. What drew me to kilts initially was utility kilts. And again, the whole wanting to be a rebel, wanting to be an individual, and also the primal vibe of it. And frankly, because I'm a practicing pagan, the sense of being more naturalistic and not confined by the not the mores, but the conventions of modern industrial society, and just like kills me, or like, yeah, this is like legit, man. This is something that goes back thousands of years, and zippers are the man, keeping you down. So, gotcha. No, seriously though, it was basically about my path into a more naturalistic way of thinking, and I thought they looked freaking badass, And then I realized I was following a modern fashion trend with the utility kilts, and I was like, this is not where this really is. And I started researching the history, started to touch on my own heritage, and I was like, okay, traditional kilts are far more interesting and cooler. And then I got into the domino effect of getting me where I am now.
Yeah.
So, but we both had that primal kind of reaction to society that we wanted to be different from the normies. You know what I mean? So that's where we,
I think we've succeeded.
Yeah. And employed in the process. Yes.
Yeah.
But
Ian, how did you come into kilt wearing?
I'm surprised I didn't come around to it sooner, because I certainly grew up. I do have both Scottish and Irish ancestry, among other things.
Yep.
We went to Celtic Classic every year when I was a kid. My mom always had music on, like Seamus Kennedy and other Irish trad acts. So I was always around Celtic stuff, and it never occurred to me to put on a kilt for a very long time. And I also have that same, urge of like buck the normies kind of thing going on, especially in high school, but I didn't even come to kilts that way. I was really excited when I found things like Dropkick Murphys and later Flogging Molly that allowed me to,
Right.
express that punk rock thing I was interested in, but also like kind of like that annoying stuff my mom's into. Like, it's combining them. It's cool. And it still didn't come around to Kilt even as I discovered those bands. Honestly, it was right after college when I got engaged and we started talking about a wedding. Then I'm like, you know what, kilts could be a fun way to do something a little weird and a little different. And that was my in. And then of course, once you put a kilt on, it's awesome, and you want to do it again.
Right.
So it's not even just that you start wearing it once a year. You start looking for more reasons to wear it, and it snowballed. And now you guys are stuck with me.
But your story speaks to the thing that I say, generally speaking, is when I'm speaking to parents, like getting the kids involved young. You don't know if the things that you are saying, the lessons you are imparting on your children, the family heritage, the family history, where you come from, you don't know if any of that is sticking when you're actually giving it to them. All you can do is just keep throwing it out there and keep making sure you're exposing them to their heritage. And then at some point, you recognize that it actually took root. Like talking about Ian's story, in his mid-20s, like it was always there. It was always in the background. And then all of a sudden he had that, wait a minute, this could actually be neat. And then he's jumped in with both feet. So you never know what your kids are absorbing, what they're listening to, and what they're internalizing. You hope it's the good stuff.
Right.
But it's a lot of kids in their mid-20s. That's when it seems to kind of, the cement mixture hardens. That's when it kind of hits, and they go like, oh, I get it now. Like it's either when they start recognizing their parents are getting older, when they start looking to get married, when they start looking backwards and they're out of that. I'll be a jerk and say like the more self-centered section of their brains, and they start looking outwards for other things and say like, oh wow, these are other things that are kind of cool, and this all like speaks to my heritage. So yeah, I think that generally happens for people in their 20s.
Oh, yeah, I got that. For me, it was like picking up the clues that were there from my family after the fact. Because like I look back on it now, and it's like my dad was never into kilts, but he was definitely into the music. He was definitely into the history. He recited the Selkirk Grace every time we had a family meal. My mom was much more into her English ancestry, but I found out early on from her about my Stuart connection. So it was there, but it was like bits and bobs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and some people, to your speaking to your dad, don't, jump the shark, so to speak, and get into the kilts themselves, or it's too much outside of the norm of what people would expect from
Totally different
me.
generation too.
Yes,
Totally
there's that
different
as well.
generation.
But it's cool to make sure that the seeds of the thistle lie fallow for other people to pick up at some point. Paraphrasing a speech I once heard. Yes.
That was a good speech.
Oh yeah. If only other people would do it right before you do it.
Don't get me.
Eric did a speech. It was a spectacular speech. And he ended up turning it into a blog post because the event that we were going to do it for
Got canceled
for 2020. And then when we went back to do the thing, the guy who spoke before Eric apparently read our blog post.
He read my blog, and you turned my blog into his speech. So his speech wound up being almost exactly like my speech. And I had to go on after him to recite my speech. And I could have choked at the freaking guy. Except he's a minister, so I wouldn't do that. But
yeah,
I'm just like, really, dude?
So, all right.
I love what you said. What were your resources for that?
Yes. Would you mind citing any of your... You walk up to the mic, ditto, and walk away.
I almost did. That was kind of my joke. I think I started off with that, but...
yeah.
Anyway.
So you heard a little bit about how Eric and I and Ian came to wearing the kilt, but we want to know, how did you come to wearing the kilt? Was it strictly heritage? Was it a rebel thing? Was it because you just wanted to wear skirts? Let me know in the comments why you started wearing the kilt.